The brother of a confessed cop killer was arrested over the weekend in relation to shooting. I'm Julie Quach.
And I'm Brian Stewart. It's open season on deer, but you might have some trouble finding a deer to hunt. These stories and more coming up.
But first, we have breaking news. 4 Winder kids surrendered to police after reportedly running away from their mother's home. Our reporter Catherine Patterson was with the Winder police when the news broke. Catherine, why did these kids run away?
Well, that's a good question, and Winder police are still trying to figure out the answer. The kids' ages ranged from 9 to 16 years old, but police told me that there were a couple of clues that led them to believe that this was no abduction.
If you're going to pack up your clothes in a duffel bag and take your Xbox with you, again, it just seemed as though they were just leaving, and who knows what their plan was.
A simple missing Xbox gave Winder police the idea that this runaway was planned. The mother told them that when she came back home from work on Saturday and found them missing, she had an idea of where they were heading.
So we believe that they're just trying to get to their father.
Their father lives in Florida. Winder Public Information Officer Chris Cooper says the daughter's 18-year-old Hispanic boyfriend drove the kids away from home, and now he's facing possible charges.
We might possibly look at the Hispanic male for interference with custody charges, probably one for each child, but again, we got to take into account how willful the children are.
Around 1 o'clock this afternoon, a Winder investigator got in touch with one of the kids' friends. That friend convinced the kids to turn themselves in.
And they were here in town still. They had not left, had not gone to Florida, and they agreed. I'm assuming, given the understanding that they could be getting their 18-year-old friend in trouble, they agreed to meet with our investigator here in town somewhere, and he's in the process of getting them turned back over to their mother.
Now, there's an interesting twist to this story regarding the government shutdown. I spoke with Cooper, and he said that his investigator tried or thought about the possibility of issuing an Amber Alert, but he said that organization's furloughed.
So, have the kids been reunited with their mother yet?
Well, when I last spoke with Cooper, he said that the investigator is still interviewing the kids before he releases them back to their mother.
Why is that?
Basically, it's because he wants to get the motive behind why they ran away and details about their current living conditions. But we will update you as soon as we get more information. Live in the newsroom, I'm Catherine Patterson.
The grandfather who was severely burned in a Barrow County fire is preparing for his 4th and final skin graft tomorrow. According to the family Facebook page, Russ Saul is still in the hospital with a fever, but the family hopes that soon after this surgery he may be able to come home. Saul's 50 years old, and he was injured in the fire after repeatedly trying to rescue his 18-month-old granddaughter from the flames. The family continually expresses their gratitude and for all the prayers and support.
The Hood family is back on the Athens radar. This time, instead of admitted cop killer Jamie Hood, it's his brother that could face some time behind bars. Reporter Lindsay Tuman has more on this story. Lindsay?
Yes, that's right. Matthew Hood was arrested for charges of obstruction of justice after police chased him in and outside of an apartment building. Well, now he's going to be spending some time in the Athens-Clarke County Jail.
Things might seem quiet now, but the sound of gunfire filled the Broad Acres apartments early Saturday morning. Everett Thomas Green and his girlfriend Crystal Barrett say they were in the apartment complex when 2 men tried to rob them. Green and Barrett say one man snatched a bottle of pills from them. Green attempted to chase down the suspects, then admits he fired shots. That's when police came out to investigate.
Police followed one of those suspects into this apartment 151. When the suspect came out the front door, they apprehended him on the ground, cuffed him, and then discovered it was none other than Matthew Hood.
But in this neighborhood, the people we spoke to say it could have been anyone. Neighbors here say they are disappointed but not surprised at the violence.
Luckily, it's late in the morning or early in the morning. There's no kids out, but still, though, it's ridiculous, though.
This father did not want his face to appear on camera out of fear more violence like this might show up at his own doorstep.
Stuff gonna happen. I just try to keep my kids away from stuff happening on a normal basis. Wherever things happening that, I try to keep them away from that.
More than anything, residents want this community to be safe.
But overall, you just hope that trouble steers clear of here.
Yeah, of course. Everywhere, really. Not just here. Across the world. You know, there need to be peace, period.
And Matthew Hood, his bond was set, or his bail rather, was set at $3,000, but he is still currently in the jail right now. I'm Lindsay Tubin, live for Grady News Source.
The two Hall County prison escapees are still on the loose. Joseph McAllister and Randall Ladd never returned to prison from their work release. The two men have been gone for a little over 2 weeks now and are wanted on outstanding escape warrants. If you think you have any information, you're encouraged to contact the Hall County Sheriff Warrant Unit at 770-531-6907. Police now have a suspect in a robbery that occurred during the Georgia-South Carolina game. This man is accused of stealing an iPhone and a debit card and making expensive charges. He allegedly used a knife or a gun in the robbery in downtown Athens. If you have any information, please contact Detective Richie Boyle at 706-613-3337 at extension 327.
Verizon Wireless says a new cell tower in Oconee County will fix existing coverage problems, but not everyone in the community is convinced. Verizon is using maps like these to show how a new tower will improve coverage in the Eastside community. But several opposing members believe that pairing up with an existing tower less than 1.5 miles away would improve coverage just as well. The final vote is up to the Oconee County Planning Commission tomorrow night.
And speaking of service issues, the government shutdown hasn't stopped every service. People affected by earthquakes still receive updates from the U.S. Geological Survey. And weddings that had to be postponed because of the shutdown now have a host venue at the Washington National Cathedral free of charge.
Congress has an upcoming date, too. The debt ceiling deadline is in 10 days now. Senate Democrats ask for an increase to the nation's credit limit. House Speaker John Boehner says there will be no debt limit increase unless President Obama and Senate Democrats negotiate with House Republicans. The nation's debt ceiling is currently set at $16.7 trillion.
Tags for 2 wheels. A proposed law would require a license plate on your bicycle.
Try to walk in a straight line after you put on these goggles. We found out what driving might look like after a few drinks.
Cyclists, beware. You may have to register for a license plate if a new bill passes. Reporter Taylor Perkins has more on the details. Taylor, how else could bikers be affected by this bill if it's passed?
Well, Brian, the next time you hop on one of these, expect to have a license plate if this bill passes, but don't expect to get full access to the roads.
In the busy streets of Athens, you can easily spot cyclists all over. Many riders, like Rachel Tapley, rely on this method of transportation.
I end up having to use my bike every single day. I use it to go to work, to campus. Fortunately, I don't live that far from work or campus, so it really doesn't take me that long.
If this bill is passed, riders like Rachel will have to register annually or pay a higher one-time fee to legally ride their bikes.
I think that especially since biking is helping the environment, I don't think it should necessarily be punished. But then again, it doesn't sound like it's that expensive of a fine. I wouldn't want to pay, but I wouldn't stop riding my bike because of it.
Another big concern for bikers is the possibility of road restrictions. Under this bill, local authorities could decide roads just like these are restricted to bikers.
I would be pretty upset if I was trying to go my normal way to class and it got blocked off and I had to take a longer route.
Representative Rogers has set up a meeting tonight from 6 to 8. You can find more details to that on our website. Live on campus, I'm Taylor Perkins.
The Athens-Clarke County traffic engineering staff will be installing parking meters on a strip of downtown spaces this Thursday. Tenants of apartment building 441 were informed over the weekend that parking spaces in front of their building would no longer be free. The East Daughtry Street spaces will have meters mimicking ones on surrounding streets.
You know, Julie, another spot creating parking buzz is the Five Points shopping area. According to the Athens Banner-Herald, 22 Five Points parking spaces are now controlled by property owner Barry Stiles. Before the ruling, the 22 spaces were the only on-street public parking in the Five Points area. Now there are none. Athens-Clarke County was recently denied a retrial and must file an appeal to the Georgia Supreme Court. They say they want to end this, but they can't get it solved right now.
City Council will meet this week to talk about giving officials more power to grant, deny, or suspend alcohol sale licenses. Only 3 businesses in the town have these licenses, but council members are arguing police need more control over monitoring these businesses. Mayor Robert Bridges says the goal of the change in policy is to prevent the can of worms that alcohol sales has opened.
And a lot of it is to make sure we don't have drugs going in and out, and try to take care of the drug problem.
Cliff Chambers, owner of Blazer, says that the liquor licenses are a waste of money and doesn't expect the change to shake up Statham. You can come to the council work session at 7 p.m. at City Hall this Thursday. After a night of drinking, you may experience dizziness, blurred vision, and a loss of balance. Today, dozens of students went through the same symptoms without drinking a drop of alcohol. Reporter Natalia Rodriguez shows you how.
Diana Valdovinos is not counting how long she can stand still in one leg. She's actually taking a field sobriety test. Although she's sober and all her senses should be in place, she's stumbling and having trouble walking in a straight line. And who can blame her? This is one test that is meant for you to fail. That is because the goggles she is wearing simulate blood alcohol count levels of up to 0.2. This is all part of a Lambda Theta Phi Latin fraternity initiative to create awareness on the effects of alcohol consumption on the body.
We're trying to raise awareness about alcohol, how it can affect the body, and like how your weight affects, how much you drink and how drunk you get. Actually right now they're having a test, they got the drunk goggles on.
While here it's all fun and games, this is the real test that police use to measure drunkenness. The alcohol test consists of taking 9 steps on top of this white line using these goggles, which mimics what it will feel and look like if you had a high alcohol blood count. Basically, it impairs your vision and your motor skills. This is how the world looks like when you sleep on the goggles. Your depth and distance perception is altered, you start seeing double, and your coordination and balance is lost. Even though Diana tried her best to beat the odds, the experience taught her one thing.
I won't be drinking and driving because I don't want to go to jail.
Reporting for Grady News Source, I am Natalia Rodriguez.
Deer hunters are finding it a little harder these days to kill their game. Their competition? Coyotes. You're looking into the eyes of a real killer. Coyotes have been killing young deer across the state. Hunters saw less of them in their scopes last year. They've been giving hunters a run for their money, and we're just getting started.
Hunting season for deer is already open in Georgia. It's currently the archery season. Came in mid-September. Each year it begins with an archery season for 3 to 4 weeks or more.
Starting this weekend, hunters can use muzzle-loading rifles like this. They're single-shot guns. Then it's really going to ramp up a week later when all guns are allowed.
The big day will be opening day of modern gun season on October 19th. That's, when deer hunters talk about opening day, generally they're talking about opening day of gun season.
We won't know until the end of the hunting season if the coyotes are still causing problems. According to the 2013 stats released by the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, the number of deer kills is down 7%, but the number of bucks killed is actually up, and the number of hunters in Georgia is up nearly 20%. Thomas told me that he and a few other hunters in the state have been out this year, and so far, he seems to think that populations are getting back to normal. And if you want to get in on the action, there's still time. You can still grab a hunting license, and for more information, go to www.gohuntgeorgia.com.
Here's a look at that cold front that we saw and heard come through last night with those heavy rains. Now we're concerned with what's coming in behind it. I'll tell you what to expect next.
Some local business owners hope for a new life in their shopping center. A neighboring church is now the owner of their surrounding.
In Athens, businesses come and go, but in the Perimeter Shopping Center, none have come in quite some time. The owners of the small businesses in this map behind me are Perimeter Square LLC, but that all changed today.
This parking lot may seem empty now, but come Sunday, it gets pretty packed. That's because Athens Church is located right here on the corner. And now, A change in the ownership for this shopping center may mean the same thing for the rest of the development. Today, business owners received a letter telling them that their lease checks should now be made out to Athens Church Ministries, their new lease owner. Ed Culbreth is the owner of Culbreth Jewelry, and he's already seen changes.
They've already uprooted all the old vegetation and landscape, and they're going to redo the landscape to try to bring more appeal to the shopping center, which is a good idea. But I don't, I think with the location of the shopping center and what the future that it holds, that it doesn't need a lot of revitalization.
Okay.
Just more of the right person managing the property.
Shoppers that remember the glory days of Perimeter Shopping Mall think that this change may bring it back to life.
It's a shame to waste this beautiful land site here. It's a great place. I have fond memories of shopping in this whole area a long time ago.
Over the years, Athens Church has rapidly expanded and moved to many different locations. 2 years ago, it moved from the Classic Center to this building here on Hawthorne Avenue.
Their current building already holds at least 1,300 members at 2 services a week.
But as the church...
Okay, that's all for our show. Thank you for watching. Good night.
Brady News Source, Brady College of Journalism and Mass Communication, which is solely responsible for its content. The views expressed do not represent those of the University of Georgia administration, nor the Board of Regents of the university system.